Okay, we're going to look at this from the perspective of a subject leader, and I'm going to show you how you might look at monitoring accuracy from the perspective of how last year's cohort were being predicted to perform and how they actually performed. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You can use the monitoring accuracy tool. If you want more information on that, I've got another video on that, so just look for monitoring accuracy. I'm going to show you it in the subject view. So pop into subjects, and what we've got is we've got all of our exam data here. What I would like to do is I'd like to change that. So I'm going to pop in here into this blue button, click on custom, and then that's my outcomes for last year's year 13. I would like to find their monitoring point. That was the last monitoring point that they had before the exams. I'm just going to choose January here. I know that that's got data in it. I'm just using demo data. So I'm going to clear those two. I could have more than one monitoring point across last year. For simplicity in this video, let's just look at one monitoring point. So what I've got is that's their prediction leading up to the exam. That's their actual exam outcome, and I can get a feel for what they did in terms of predictions versus actual. Look at biology. Now then, 0.94 was the predicted, 0.80 was the actual. That is 0.14 of a difference, which means that the biology department were over predicting by 3/4 of a grade. Meanwhile, the chemistry department were under predicting, not by as much, but about half a grade. 0.2 is a grade per entry. So we can get a feel looking down as to what our monitoring accuracy looked like for last year's cohort. So before we start looking at this year's monitoring grades, we might want to just have a little look at that as a subject leader to just check how accurate are my subject teachers predicting compared to outcome. What I want to see is I want to see something like English literature, which is nice and flat, and they predicted and they got exactly the same thing. If I pop into biology, I can actually see that detail for my teaching sets here. So I can do the same exercise for teaching sets, and I'm looking at that, and 13B1 was half a grade out, and D3 was more than that. So possibly the teacher of that set, a little bit of input in terms of how they're forging their predictions and what they're generating those based on.